welcome to the Ultraflex Fantasy Football Podcast, where we have fun with our friends while we talk about football. I finally said it. I hadn't said that the last couple times. I'm your host, Anthony Sutton. With me, as always, are my friends, Ryan Wheeler.
Hey.
And Rob Green.
What's up?
How are you guys doing? Ryan, how is your week going so far?
Good. I had a day off, and I think we're off to the right foot. You came in strong, and we didn't mess up our hellos, so I'm feeling pretty good about this.
Very strong start today, Anthony.
we should just wrap it up right now because it can only get worse. Training camp started. We're going to start off with around the league. We got a bunch of stuff going on. Some of it's important. Some of it's camp news. Some of it's just reporters trying to get a little clickbait. So we'll try to figure out which is which. First, I would say the biggest news for fantasy and probably just the league in general. We kind of knew that this was coming, but Trey Lance has been announced as the QB for San Fran. So Rob, what's your first instant takeaway from that?
He's officially QB1, and everybody out there who's been screaming for it got their wish. I think fantasy-wise, it kind of takes away some of the question marks that we had as to if he was going to actually start come week one. We don't got to worry about Jimmy G taking that spot now. So wheels up on the Trey Lance train.
Guys, I'm really disappointed. My hot take in episode 2, I don't know if you guys remember, but it was Jimmy Graham, that ain't right. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to start week 1 for the 49ers. I don't feel too good about that.
So,
what's that?
I said Jimmy Graham is a Jimmy G, to be fair.
So. I didn't even say it. I didn't even say it yet. And my brain was just like, you're saying Jimmy Graham. And I was like, I guess I'm saying Jimmy Graham. I got to go through with it now.
Do you remember how good Jimmy Graham was for like 2 or 3 years?
He was dominant.
Elite.
Yeah, so obviously your hot take won't be coming true. So I think that's the first one where we know it's not coming true.
Yeah, and this is important because I'm keeping tally of our hot takes because we're not just going to throw hot takes out there just to spit fire. All right. I actually want to know if any of our hot takes came to fruition.
Yeah, we need to have an episode at the end of the year for reviewing all of our hot takes and seeing how we did.
Yes.
Hopefully we each get at least one right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, hopefully if we each come up with 15 by the end, hopefully we get at least one. But I'm starting off real cold. I'm 0%. So
the first time we did the Wheel of Teams, we ended up on the 49ers and we picked them to go 10-7. We've talked numerous times about Debo the last couple episodes. Does Trey being announced as the starter affect that 10-7-ish record in your opinion, or did you guys already assume that he was going to be the starter?
I think it was already assumed that he was starting.
Yeah, when we were doing that exercise, I was under the assumption Lance was going to be the starter. That was my opinion.
Not only that,
summer here,
but Lance was also already being drafted as if he was starting. So my take that he was my sell for that team it's still alive and well because he never
might even be better now.
Yeah, absolutely.
If this news, I mean, I would think it would make his value go up a little bit just because some of the people who had some of those questions on if he would for sure get the job aren't going to have those anymore. So
right.
The next bit of news, we got some veteran receivers and weapons going to Tampa. Tom Brady is kind of playing the LeBron role and being a GM just in the NFL. So we've got Julio going to Tampa. Kyle Rudolph is going to Tampa as maybe take over that Gronk role. And then also out of Tampa, we've got Chris Godwin's cleared, ready for camp. So Ryan, out of those three, which one are you most interested in?
Chris Godwin. I mean, even if he doesn't start the year, week one. I still think he's obviously the guy with the most potential there. Kyle Rudolph, they say he could take over the Gronk role, but no one takes over the Gronk role. Gronk is Gronk. There is no other Rob Gronkowski.
Julio might even step in and kind of try to fill that touchdown role too. Like they could assign him to help.
Listen, Julio played for my Titans last year, and he was about as useless as the rest of the receivers not named A.J. Brown. So it's great that Julio's got a home and he gets to maybe catch like 15 balls before he's out for the season from Tom Brady.
I was going to say his quarterback is Tom Brady, and he is still Julio Jones, even if he is falling apart here. I don't think it takes like hits for Julio to get injured. I think he just like runs out in the field and pulls a hamstring. So he hurts himself.
Yeah.
He does have some skinny legs. Like that dude's. How many, Ryan, as a Titans fan, how many receptions did Julio Jones have last year?
Oh, am I supposed to guess this?
Yep, guess 10 games.
So in 10 games, I would say he averaged probably maybe 4 catches. So I'll go with like 37.
31 receptions, 434 yards, and 1 touchdown.
He had about one game, right? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're Tampa, would you consider just using him in the red zone to try to prevent injury from those, long runs where he could injure himself?
Those long runs, so like anything inside the 20.
Yeah, use him as a red zone weapon, right?
Yeah, I think that would be fair.
And it could be useful for fantasy if he scores 8 to 10 touchdowns. That might be what he needs to be relevant.
Yeah,
I think he'll be on the roster for some people. For if we were going by percentages, 60 to 70% of teams just as a stash on the bench, and hopefully not. I want to rephrase that. They would be hoping that Mike Evans were to get hurt and then he would take over like that tall receiver role. But obviously, hopefully Mike Evans does not get hurt.
Maybe who this affects the most, though, is Russell Gage. I mean, if Godwin's coming back earlier than what we initially anticipated, and now they're bringing in Julio, Russell Gage isn't going to be that number 2 option for the first 6 weeks like we thought he might be. So
yeah, that's true.
The next around the league news is Kyler Murray got paid $200 some million, but I think the biggest news out of the contract is that he is required to study 4 hours of film outside of the facility.
He's got homework
every week.
He's also not allowed to be watching TV, playing games. He's not allowed to be doing anything other than studying. How much trust does this organization have in Kyler Murray when they're treating him like a child?
Enough to still give him that much money.
They gave him that much money, but they're like, well, you can also lose all that money by not studying for 4 hours independently per week.
I wonder how they could even prove it, though.
Supposedly their tablets that every player is getting now is like they can track it from the organization.
Okay, so he has to use the team tablet, basically.
Yeah, but I don't know how they could tell if he's watching TV. I would just hope that the guy that I just paid buku money for would just please don't watch TV while you're studying at home for 4 hours a week.
Yep.
The Cardinals, in my opinion, put him in a terrible situation because they put this in his contract. I've heard a lot of people saying he shouldn't have signed it, blah, 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 blah. But obviously they feel that they needed to put that in there for a reason. So if he declines to sign it, and then the Cardinals leak that he declined to sign $230 million contract because he can't study 4 hours at home.
That's terrible.
How does that look on him? So they've literally put him in the worst case scenario.
It also makes the Cardinals look like a bunch of micromanaging buttholes. Like,
because you've never seen this in a contract before, right?
This isn't good for anybody except for the
first
press.
Butthole phrase has been dropped on our podcast.
Sorry.
How long until we see more of this, though?
More buttholes or
no more?
Oh, okay.
more contracts like this where they put things in there like that, just because, people's attention spans nowadays with phones and video games and all that are less than what they probably used to be.
It's a good point.
Well, I think that's the issue with some of the contracts that are going out. Not only does like the one for Watson where he had guaranteed money, everyone was afraid that was going to change the quarterback market, which it looks like Kyler didn't get fully guaranteed contract. So him signing this kind of opens up the door that teams are allowed to at least request or ask for them to do kind of whatever they want. And then it's up to the player to say yes or no. And then like we just talked about, if that gets leaked, now
Who do you think leaked it? Like, that's what
I was just going to ask that.
It doesn't make sense for Kyler to be the one to do it, but also why would the Cardinals want that?
It has to be someone in the Cardinals organization that doesn't like Kyler.
It didn't want to pay him, right? There might have been a struggle there between powers, and that person lost, so they leaked this information out there. It's interesting.
Not good, but it is.
Because it doesn't really look good, like we talked about, for either side to me.
No. And this might be more, no one's really come out and said it that I heard of, but this might be somewhat common for your second string linebacker. But to have this language in a top 5, top 10 quarterback contract seems unprecedented.
They don't even do that for second string linebackers because they just trust that the second string linebacker will go home and watch film independently for 4 hours a week at least.
Because he knows he needs to make the team.
Yeah.
What statement, Rob, in your opinion, is crazier? Tua is the most accurate quarterback in the league, which is what Tyreek Hill said. Or, a little background, Devontae Adams said that he went from one Hall of Famer to another, calling Derek Carr already a Hall of Famer. So which one of those two statements is crazier? Tua is the most accurate quarterback, or Derek Carr is a Hall of Famer?
It's not even close to me. Derek Carr is not even close to a Hall of Famer. He's probably never even been top 12 at his position in a single season. I'm not going to say that Tua is the most accurate quarterback in the league, but he did have the reputation coming in from college that he was an accurate quarterback. So at least it's semi-plausible. Derek Carr is not a Hall of Famer. I don't know what he could even do at this point in his career to become a Hall of Famer. Like maybe win 3 straight Super Bowls.
That was literally going to be my question to Ryan: is what would Derek Carr need to do to win a Super Bowl?
What would he need to do to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I mean,
to be a Hall of Famer. I'm sorry.
I was so confused. I was like, I guess he would need to win all the games in the playoffs, but
we need to win all the games in front of us, as a coach would say.
Yeah. To be a Hall of Famer, man, I don't know. He's already 31 years old.
Yeah, he's going on.
I think we know who Derek Carr is.
At least one MVP.
Right. He would need.
If he wins 2 Super Bowls, now the name probably helps Eli Manning. But if Derek Carr wins 2 Super Bowls over the next 7, 8, 9 years, which is unlikely, but let's just say if, would Derek Carr then have a better resume than Eli Manning?
Man, you're just throwing out all these. I wish I would have had time to look up all these numbers, their career statistics and all that stuff. You guys have the computers in front of you.
I would think they'd be pretty similar cases there.
I think Derek Carr was a better quarterback than Eli Manning. I think Derek Carr is a good quarterback right now. I just don't think that he's maybe Hall of Fame worthy.
If we judge it by fantasy seasons, though, what's Derek Carr's best fantasy finish? Like, I could look it up real quick. I don't think he's ever been a top 12 quarterback. Yeah, and I know they played a little bit at the same time, but I believe Eli Manning had maybe 2 top 10 finishes.
His best is a 12th. He finished as the 12th best quarterback in 2016.
So he squeaked in.
I mean, he's always been between 12 and 20.
He's your typical average quarterback.
Yeah,
that's nothing close to a Hall of Famer. So,
what you said is kind of where I was going with the Eli Manning thing, without even looking at the stats. Like, if someone said to me, "Who's a better stats producer? Who throws the ball better?" I'm going to pick Derek Carr. Now Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowls, and a lot of that's from his defense and the fact that he just showed up in the playoffs. But I think if Derek Carr wins a Super Bowl, then he would have a better stat line than Eli Manning would.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember if it was 2015 or 2016 when Carr looked really good. I mean, of course, we're talking about that's 6-7 years ago right now, but he looked really good. He had like 4,000 passing yards in the season, 32 touchdowns in 2015, 28 in 2016, 13 interceptions in 2015, and 6 in 2016. But I remember people were talking about him as possibly being an MVP candidate, but then he got hurt, and I believe they lost in the playoffs, like first round, because he wasn't the quarterback, or maybe they didn't make it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, they made it. I'm trying to remember who started that game.
That'd be something interesting to look up. But I mean, the guy has always been, in my opinion, he's always been. You guys say he's average. I think an average quarterback in the league obviously doesn't start for the same team every year for the past. He's been in the league for 8 years now. Yeah. So, I mean, he's a franchise quarterback as far as I'm concerned. He's just not a super high quality franchise quarterback. I would take Derek Carr personally over Eli Manning.
Same.
Oh, you agree? No, okay. I thought you guys were both saying Eli was better.
No, I would take Derek Carr. And then the other bit of news, I guess there's no really good way to transition to this, just other than saying that cancer sucks. So John Mechie III is diagnosed with leukemia. So obviously that's sad, and positive vibes going out to him, and hopefully he has a good recovery.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Let's play. Again, no easy way to transition out of that. And I'm not even good at transitions yet. So let's play Who Am I? So I'm going to read off some stats to you guys. I've got a list full of stats here. We can go, as detailed as we need to, but we'll see how good you are. And this will help me for the next time to see how much more difficult I need to make it. So,
or easy.
Or easier.
So are we doing active players just for
active players?
Okay.
This person, well, it's a quarterback, but you'll figure that out after my first stat here. So 65% completion percentage last year, 3,400 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. Rob, do you have a guess just based off of those numbers? And then I'll give you another hint.
First guess that came to mind was Tua.
That was the first person that came to mind. Yeah.
It is not Tua. Ryan, do you have a guess?
Mac Jones?
It is not Mac Jones, but you guys are thinking in the right ballpark, because the next hint is that he finished with more points than Trevor Lawrence for fantasy, Matt Ryan, and Tua. So he's above all of those guys for fantasy last year. But it's not Mac Jones or Tua.
I don't think
you said 20 touchdowns.
I wanted to say Davis Mills, but I don't think he played enough games to get 3,400 yards.
Yeah. So 3,400 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 15 interceptions in 16 games.
Threw quite a few interceptions.
That is. Can I throw out Tannehill?
It is not Tannehill.
How about Sam Darnold?
It is not
you.
Sam Darnold.
Oh no, listeners, help us.
We need more stats here.
Carson Wentz.
He finished 19th overall as quarterback last year, and he's 29 years old, and he played in the NFC East.
Wow.
Is it Taylor Heineke?
It is Taylor Heineke.
I was like, who was
I'm thinking, I'm going through my list in my
football
head of the
team
NFC
quarterback?
East, and I'm like, it can't be Taylor Heineke. It was like the first person that came to mind.
I was shocked when I was going through some stats, and he had. I mean, that's a respectable season.
Solid. Yeah, I think I started him in a few leagues actually, and bye week situation, super flex leagues. So
Is he still
okay?
Is he still on the Commanders?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well, he might
he's,
get another chance this year.
I mean,
maybe.
actually, now that you say that, let me look at his stats compared to Carson Wentz.
I got Wentz's right here.
Carson Wentz threw for 150 more yards, 27 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. So I mean, that's Carson Wentz had a pretty good year as far as taking care of the ball.
Honestly, that's kind of what Wentz does. Like, he has pretty good years. It's just nobody likes him. I don't know what it is about the guy, but he just, like, the locker room does not like him.
He had that one awful season, and then it kind of seems like his teammates maybe don't necessarily think he's the highest of him. We'll say.
Right.
He was also drafted second overall. So anytime that happens, you have a little higher expectation.
Okay, so Rob and I get an F for figuring out Taylor Heineke. We needed all.
No, hey, I got it. It just took a few
all right, so you got 1 point.
I get a point.
Rob gets a C. He gets a pass, and Ryan, you get a D.
That seems fair. I'll take a B.
To be fair though, when you said active, I was anticipating this guy to be a starter this year, I guess. So
I was also
active as far as in the league.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, on to the next.
This one is a starter. It's a running back. Finished with the 7th most rushing yards last year. 1,002 yards. Ryan, you have a guess? I'll let you go first this time. You have a guess after that?
7th most rushing yards. Joe Mixon?
Nope.
James Conner.
Nope. Just to give you an idea of where those gentlemen were. Mixon was 3rd. And then James Conner was 13th.
Yeah, I'll say I don't think he had 1,000 yards after I thought about it a little bit more. So actually, not that many guys had 1,000 rushing yards last year.
Yeah,
you said 7th with 1,002.
7. Yeah, he was 7. So 7. He had 10 touchdowns, and he's 27 years old.
Kamara?
Nope.
Leonard Fournette?
Nope.
Oh, we got 2 27-year-old running backs. That's pretty impressive.
Fournette had 8 touchdowns, and Kamara had 4 rushing.
Okay. You said 10 touchdowns?
Yep. Again, we're in the NFC East.
It's Zeke.
Yeah.
It is Zeke. And I picked Zeke because there's this stigma over him that he just has like a terrible year last year. And he's 27 years old and he's a running back. So we're talking about dynasty most of the time. That doesn't add up. But 1,000 yards and 10
hurt a lot last year. He played injured last year. I think
his offensive
he missed
line,
1 game maybe or something, but yeah, he played hurt.
Yeah, he had no
offensive line was hurt.
Yeah, he had no agility, no burst. You could tell something was up, and it was either that he actually did play hurt or he's not Zeke anymore in the sense of what we have known to be Zeke.
He might never be that again, but that Cowboys organization gave him that big contract. They're going to want to not look stupid for doing that, so he's going to continue to get a ton of touches until the wheels fall off.
In PPR, he finished 2020 9th overall as a running back, which is probably disappointing for that year. I mean, I think he was getting drafted as a top 3 at 2020. Last year, he finished 7th in PPR for running backs.
That's so bizarre.
That's what I'm saying. I was looking at it and I was like, there's that stigma, like I said, over Zeke that he's just been terrible the last few years, and he's still a top 10 running back.
says a lot about the running back position itself too, that there's just not a lot of dominant players there.
Yeah.
And you need people that score touchdowns, right? I mean,
I'll take
are your friend in fantasy. That's right.
I'll take the point for that one because I believe I said his name.
all right. Well, this is the third and final, so this is going to be the tiebreaker. Rob gets to go first.
Oh.
Another starter. He had 93 receptions. Nope, I'll just give you that. 93 receptions because the next one might be a little bit too big of a hint.
Okay, 93 receptions sounds like probably a team's number one wide receiver, maybe a wide receiver too. You're probably trying to have it be someone sneaky.
To give you a hint, there were nine people over 100 receptions.
Okay.
So definitely number one.
I'll go Hunter Renfrow.
Nope.
Yeah.
Brian.
Was he one of the ones that had
He
over
might have had
100?
100, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he had 103.
Wow.
I'm gonna go. I'm trying to remember. Did Terry McLaurin play every game last? Yeah, I'm gonna go Terry.
It's not him. He had 77 receptions.
Wow, way to leave me hanging there. I was like, oh,
Right, thought he got it.
Big, in my opinion, bigger clue here. 163 targets, which was sixth most in the league.
It's a lot,
but only 93 receptions. So the connection there,
I'm sorry,
wasn't great.
How many targets?
163 targets.
And how many receptions you said? 93?
93.
Damn, that's a bad catch.
Ryan, you get first guess on this go around, and then we'll do like a snake since this is the
so he caught 56% of his targets.
Yeah.
So he obviously had a bad quarterback.
And I'll tell you the yards: 1,157 yards.
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore is correct.
Yeah.
Nice job.
It's like there's got to be. He had a bad quarterback. It's got to be someone with a
DJ Moore finished with 93 receptions on 163 targets, 1,157 for yards, only 4 touchdowns, and he's 25 years old. Finished 18th last year in PPR. So if he and Baker,
he could fly up the ranks this year if
he and Baker can even connect on 65% of their targets.
Yeah, bump that up a little bit. Maybe get to 7 touchdowns.
Moore's been a wide receiver too the past 3 years. He's got the potential. He just needs someone to throw him the ball accurately.
For sure.
So we've got Ryan taking home the first Who Am I with a 2-1 score. And now we're going to get into Rise. Does anyone ever actually call you Rye other than maybe Rebecca?
My great grandma has called me Rye before.
All right. Well,
and Rebecca does not call me Rye, which is my wife, by the way. It's really loud.
We're going to go with Rise By and Rob's Blobs. So people that Ryan is interested in buying and Rob is selling. And we're going to do this version based off of, same face, but in a new place. So this could be anyone that is on a new team this year. So it could be Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Allen Robinson. We even included any of the rookies. So Rob, we'll start with you first.
Okay, going for a sell first.
Who are we selling? Who's one person that's in a new place that you are selling?
We like to start things off in the negative way. I like it.
Yeah. You got to end with a positive.
You threw me off. I thought we were going to start with a buy. Regardless, I'm ready. This might make some people upset. I know a lot of people love this guy. and are really happy with the team that he went to. My first Rob's Blobs is going to be Juju Smith-Schuster, wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Juju.
Yes, Juju. So I'm going to start out with a contract he signed. Okay. He signed for 1 year, $3.25 million. And for some perspective on that contract, the Chicago Bears signed Byron Pringle to a 1 year, $4.125 million contract. So that kind of tells you a little bit about what the NFL thinks of Juju at this point in his career. I don't think that the NFL is sold on him as a talent and as a wide receiver. Secondly, are we even sure that he's the wide receiver one on his own team? Like it seems like most people are ranking him as. The Chiefs also went out and signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling, MVS for short, right, to a 3 year, $30 million contract, which tells you a little bit of their intentions there. To me, they view him as their number one guy at the wide receiver position. Obviously, Travis Kelce is going to be their most targeted pass catcher, but he's not a wide receiver. So I went and looked at Fantasy Pros ranks for Juju. This year, they have him at wide receiver 29. For comparison's sake, MVS is ranked wide receiver 55 there. Not saying I would rather myself have Juju, but I think that he's ranked too high for this year. And really, I think for Dynasty as well, if you look at any of those trade calculators, Keep Trade Cut, or some just Dynasty rankings, he's valued around some guys that I would for sure sell him for now. Guys like Brandon Ayuk come to mind, Kadarius Toney, Chase Claypool. I would prefer all of those guys. But what I will say is I would not sell him right now. What I'm doing is waiting for him to have that big game with Patrick Mahomes throwing him the ball. Let everybody lose their minds a little bit because there's going to be that one owner in your league who's going to overreact to that. When he has that big game, that's when I'm selling and looking to get a wide receiver that those guys I just mentioned, or maybe any of the rookie wide receivers that just went, round one. If you could get like Sky Moore, say if he has a slow start from the same team, locked in for 4 years with that rookie contract. If you could get Sky Moore and a pick back for Juju, I think that's a slam dunk because we don't even know where Juju's going to be next year.
Right.
So that is my first Rob's Blob.
I love it. I actually 1,000,000% agree with you. I think Mahomes isn't the type of guy that's going to just hone in on him. He's going to spread the ball around. Andy Reid's going to spread the ball around. You are even backing up what you were talking about now in your rankings, which you can find on Twitter. Our Twitter is Ultraflex FFP, but you have him ranked at 46th in your wide receiver rankings. Ryan, Echo.
Real quick, I want to say for Rob's Blob, I agree too. I had Juju in one
everyone
league.
agreed. I thought somebody would disagree here.
Yeah, I do like Juju, and I remember a few years ago, Rob, I traded you I traded you Christian McCaffrey.
We had a big trade, yeah,
for Juju straight up.
Yep.
And that was
the year then Juju kind of fell off the face of the planet, and McCaffrey finished, I think, as RB1, the last good season McCaffrey had.
But Juju was like the wide receiver one, well, projected.
The season before, he had that big season.
Yeah, so that was a big no.
Ryan, you're a little higher. You have him ranked 29th. So you're feeling a little bit of the Juju love.
It's actually really high.
I mean, it's not that I don't like the guy. I'm just saying I sold him in one of my dynasty leagues. So as soon as he went to the Chiefs, I sold him right away.
A little bit that goes into the ranks though is public perception too, right? So if you're anticipating Juju to have some big games early on, I think that could be reflective in your rankings where you have him there now. He has a few good games, and then maybe you flip him, and he drops in your rankings because you're not sure he's going to continue it.
Yeah, public perception is a huge part of my model, and I have obviously it's my model, so I can do whatever I want, but I can I have the ability to move guys up and down, and then I mark them with green if I move them up, if I'm actually higher on that player than my model shows, and I'll mark them red if I'm out on that guy. Juju's someone that I'm not out on, so I'm not willing to move him down the rankings, but he came out at 29th, and I was like, that sounds good. about right.
I think the thing I'm most interested in with Juju is what Rob mentioned last, is he's only on the 1-year contract. So where does he end up next year? Because if he ends up with Chicago, not to pick on Justin Fields, but I'd be a little concerned if you go from Patrick Mahomes to Justin Fields.
Yeah. I think Juju's really only chance to probably stay long term with the Chiefs is if Sky Moore just falls flat as a rookie and has like a Jalen Reagor type season like we've seen recently from him.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I mean, are they going to have the money to afford to give Juju maybe they bring him back on another 1-year deal, and then it's the same thing. You're wondering, well, is this guy someone I want long term on my dynasty team? Where is he going to be? So, and I did, by the way, he is on Fantasy Pros wide receiver 39 for dynasty ranks, so he is a little bit lower there. So I think some people do share that same opinion, but I think there's always going to be that one person in your league that thinks back to what Juju was in 2018 and won't forget about it. So,
oh my gosh, I think they have him ranked 39. You have him in the 40s, and I have him at 29. I think I just said, never mind. I'm Rob. Your take is terrible. I'm all in on Juju. I'm just kidding.
I think everyone in fantasy, whether you'll admit to it or not, has a little bit of Homer in them as well. And there's a bunch of Steeler fans out there. Obviously, he's not with the Steelers anymore, but there could be someone that, like you said, Rob, thinks about what he was doing with the Steelers and pull the trigger on him. So, all right, Ryan, I need some positivity in my life. Just give me my first rise by of
I'll give you the most, like, one of the most positive NFL players in the league. How's that? I'm going to go Russell Wilson, the quarterback for the Denver Broncos. First of all, he's going from the Seahawks to the Broncos. Rob's smiling. He's making me feel
I love it.
Okay.
I love this one. I want to hear it.
I was getting a little worried. I'm like, Rob's going to slam me at the end here. I don't know, man. I'm scared. All right. So he's being drafted as the QB9 right now in dynasty leagues. And I get all of my rankings from Sleeper when I'm talking ADP. So he's QB9, ADP of 21.8, which is like the back end of the second round. I personally have him as my QB8, and I would I would take him in the first round for sure. He's the only quarterback that's over like 30 that I have anywhere near the top of my rankings. There's just, the guy is different. He finishes as a top 10 quarterback every year unless he's hurt. If you look at like trades that have been going on for Russell Wilson, I got this from DLF, like Trevor Lawrence and a 20, I can't even read my own handwriting, a 22 second for Wilson. Now, I understand that Lawrence has all the hype in the world, but honestly, I think I might take that regardless if I'm rebuilding or not. Like, Wilson's going to be good for the next 3 years. It's pretty much a guarantee. We look 3 years into the future. It's really fun to look 10 years into the future and say Trevor Lawrence could be a dynasty quarterback for the long term. He could be, but I say give me Wilson in that. Second round picks just don't hold that much weight for me.
And the team who's making that trade is, I would imagine, a contender. They're trying to go from Trevor Lawrence to Russell Wilson, so that second's probably a late second. What are you looking at? You're probably looking at a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson or Alec Pierce, who could end up being great. But if you can switch from the uncertainty and really just straight potential of Trevor Lawrence to the consistency and top finishes of Russell Wilson, and the exciting new offense in Denver, that makes a lot of sense to me. I like it.
Yeah, a couple more trades was Michael Pittman and 2/5 for Russell Wilson. I thought that was like really strange. Give me Russell Wilson for that. That's not even close.
What are the fifths doing?
Well, those must be, in my opinion, those got to be 1 quarterback leagues, and you already have a quarterback.
No, they're 2 QB. You can filter it. It was 2 QB. It's Michael Pittman and 2 fifths for Russell Wilson. I was like, yeah, give me Wilson. And then the other one that was a little bit is 2. It's basically the 22 108 pick in this year's rookie draft and a 23 first, which is pretty pricey to pay 2 firsts for Wilson. And I'm not exactly sure which way I fall on that, but even just thinking that like I might take 2 firsts for Wilson, or I might, I mean,
that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's really tough because you're getting maybe like a Chris Olave, who I'm really high on. But that's tough. If you look at who he's going around in startup dynasty drafts, it's like a Breece Hall or an Austin Eckler. Like, man, give me Russ in a super flex, because that's what we play. We play Ultraflex leagues, which is super flex format. So you need to start 2 QBs, and Russ Wilson is a QB1. He doesn't need to be your QB2. He can be your legit QB1 for the next 3 years. So Russell Wilson is my rise by. That's how we're
first ever rise by.
Yeah.
I was just going back to look at.
Rob, you just said first ever rise by. Now I feel like a dope. I should have went with the other guy that I had. Oh man, I ruined it.
Well, I guess good lead into your next guy then. I was just going back to look at where Russell Wilson was finishing the last 5 or 6 years. I got back to 2016 where he was 10th. And then, I don't know, it just, number 8 was Blake Bortles and 9 was Tyrod Taylor, which just doesn't even seem like real life.
Wow.
2017, he was number 1 overall. 2018, he was 9. 2019, he was 4th. 2020, he was 6th. So if you take last year out of the equation, which he wasn't even terrible last year, what was he?
He was cooking last year. That's what he was.
He was 16th last year, but he was injured, and I think that's an anomaly. So the last
tough word.
I know, especially this late in the evening. But yeah, so I think I would definitely agree with your buy. And
not only that, but he's going from an infamously bad Seahawks offensive line to, I mean, PFF has the Broncos as like 16th best offensive line, so they're right in the middle, and I believe Seattle's like worst. So
yeah. You said Ryan, you said his ADP was 21.9. Is that what you said?
21.8.
21.8. It's pretty low. I'm surprised.
I'm not letting him get out of the first round if I'm sitting there at the end there.
I mean, early second, I'd be slamming the button. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'm with you. Okay.
Again, we're doing our first go round of rise buys and Rob's blobs, our version of buy and sell. This version, we can only pick out players, or they can only pick out players that are in a new place. So again, Allen Robinson, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, any rookies, the 2 players they just named. So Rob, who is your second blob?
Okay, so I don't know if this might be considered cheating a little bit, because I kind of grouped in a few players. I was looking through basically the free agent list of all positions on offense of guys who signed to new places, right? Just to get an idea of names that I could possibly choose for my blobs. And I was looking through the quarterback list, and it was just awful. So my second Rob's blobs is any and all free agent quarterbacks that signed with a new team this offseason. I'm sell them all. So notably, the most notable of these guys are Mitch Trubisky with the Steelers, Marcus Mariota with the Falcons, and Jacoby Brissett with the Browns. Those are the guys who are going to be starters this year. At least it looks that way. I suppose anything could happen in camp, and Kenny Pickett could beat out Trubisky. Desmond Ridder could pass Mariota, and maybe Watson doesn't get suspended at all this year. But it doesn't seem likely that happens. So most likely those 3 are going to start the year as starters. I don't know that any of the 3 finished the year as starters. Kenny Pickett was taken round 1. They're going to want to play him this year. And if you look, I mean, historically in the last few years, all first-round quarterbacks play early. So we're probably going to see Kenny Pickett sooner rather than later. Maybe Mariota lasts the season, but I'm not confident that long-term he's going to be a startable option for your dynasty team.
He's back with Arthur Smith, right?
He is, but even if he plays okay, how many games are the Falcons going to win? I mean, it'd be nice if we maybe got them on the wheel of teams today and we could go through the schedule game by game, but he's going to get replaced. Whether it's Desmond Ridder or it's a first-round quarterback next year, he's not going to be the long-term guy there.
They want Ridder, for sure. They want to give him some playing time this year because they have to know when they have probably one of the top 5 picks in the next year's draft, they have to know if they're going for a QB or if they're going to settle with Ridder for the future. So
you got to see what you got, right?
Especially Rob, I think I know the answer.
Go ahead.
No, I think I know the answer, especially with Kenny Pickett. Like, you're drafting Kenny Pickett before you draft Mitchell Trubisky. But are you taking, say you don't address quarterbacks early in the draft, are you taking Desmond Ridder or Mariota if you need a starter?
If I let my quarterbacks go that long, I'm not a contender anyway. Just give me Ridder.
That's true.
Punt the season. I mean, trade anybody in your startup draft that you took that's a win now piece that you can get draft pick value for, and just go for it in 2023. Mariota's not a guy you want to depend on. Now, if everybody feels that way in your startup draft and you get him as your quarterback 4, fine, you can leave him on your bench and start him in bye weeks, and maybe somebody gets quarterback desperate when their starter goes down, then you flip him for a trade. But to me, I mean, we haven't even talked about Jacoby Brissett here yet in this segment, but what I have written down here on my notes is take whatever you can get for him.
A 5th?
So just get him off your team. He's just wasting roster space. Do you really want to have to start Jacoby Brissett? No. And if you are, you're not a contender. So just take what you can get.
I'm not buying Jacoby Brissett by any means, but if Watson is suspended for a year, do you still have the same sentiment?
Yeah. Because again, it comes down to if you're depending on Jacoby Brissett to start on your fantasy football team, you're not a contender. So What are you doing? All he's doing is winning you games that you probably don't even want to win in the long run because you're trying to get a better draft pick.
But would you trade, say you have him as your 3rd quarterback?
Yep.
Would you trade Brissett for, I mean, what are you going to get for him? Like Ryan's at a 5th, probably. Would you rather have him as your bye week quarterback, or would you rather trade him for a 4th or a 5th or whatever the case might be?
If you're a contender and you don't have a 3rd quarterback, I'd be fine holding him because at that point, the 5th doesn't mean anything to you. This is more for a rebuild or a middle of the road team. I'm okay, I guess, with Brissett as a 3rd or 4th quarterback on a contender. So that's a little different, but
I don't think what you said was hot at all. I don't think any of those guys are guys that you want to keep on your roster. I think those are all definitely blobs.
Yeah, I wasn't going for a hot take there. I mean, I think most people probably have that sentiment, but I think it's the right sentiment.
Yeah.
Long term, none of these guys, if you look at I thought as a Bills fan, Trubisky he was a good backup, right, Anthony? I mean, it seemed like they really liked him, and I thought he was going to get a bigger contract to go somewhere and be a starter, like maybe the Giants or somebody would want him with Daboll going there, the familiarity. And he only signed like a 2-year, $14 million contract, and I don't think there was any guaranteed money for Trubisky, which shocked me. So even the Steelers that aren't that sold on him. So
did I dream this, or did Brandon Beane, GM for the Bills, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Did he say something about how he's the kind of guy that you want to marry your daughter?
I believe that is something that he said at one point. Yeah, that sounds correct.
We're talking Trubisky here. So this guy is like top of the line human being, supposedly, from Bill's staff.
That's because he went to UNC.
Oh, is that why? Oh, look at you with your UNC hat or helmet there in the background. That's cute.
That's the best quarterback to ever come out of UNC. That's Sam Howell right there.
Oh.
which we can talk about him taking over for Carson Wentz some other time.
So to summarize, sell any free agent quarterbacks that switch teams this offseason.
At all costs? Because I was just thinking, like, at one point, if everyone jumps on board with you and you're like, hey, maybe I can get these guys for a fifth, right? Then you still sell them. It doesn't matter if you can get anything for them.
If I'm a rebuilding team, it's the most you can get. Maybe you might not sell them now in the summer when some people aren't even paying attention, but you wait. They're all going to start for probably at least the first month of the season. So let them play a couple games, then sell them. But like I said before too, if you're a contender and you don't have a third quarterback and you can't get one back in a trade for them, I'd be fine just holding on to them just as, insurance if one of your starters gets hurt, or as a bye week filler. You hope they're still a starter by the time your starting quarterbacks go on bye week, right?
Yeah.
Ryan, you were very disappointed that this second person didn't go first. So who you got for your second rise by?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I went with a rookie, and it's a guy that has the highest ceiling. Like, he's up there with the upper echelon guys in terms of ceiling, and that would be Sir Malik Willis. And
Tennessee Titans.
It's see, this is why I wish I would have started with a Titan. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have started off rise bys with a Titan and cemented it in history, but I didn't. Like I said, Malik Willis has the sky is the limit. He has like the cannon arm. He's got the speed. He's got, well, unfortunately, he plays for the Titans, so they don't have a great offensive line and they don't have many receivers, but they can straighten that out. This guy, he's the QB 27 right now, being drafted on Sleeper, and I have him ranked as my QB 24. So obviously, I have him ranked a little bit higher than consensus. His ADP is 132, which is like the last pick of the 11th round. I believe that math is right. He's going right before guys like Ritter, Wentz, Daniel Jones, Jared Goff. Like, those guys, give me Willis with all that potential. Not as my QB2. This is important. Like, I want him as hopefully my QB4. Hopefully I took like 3 quarterbacks that I can start, or two great quarterbacks in a super flex league, and then like a bye week filler. I don't know. Maybe even someone like Goff later in the draft. But for this, I want Willis in a dynasty as my QB4, someone I don't plan on starting at all this year, specifically as a stash. He was projected to go in like as early as the top 10 of this year's rookie draft. I've seen some mocks with him up there, and he fell all the way to the 3rd round. And I get that 3rd round quarterbacks don't typically hit. The only one that really has is Russell Wilson, ironically, who I just talked about. But the guy has everything you're looking for.
I think Kirk Cousins was a 3rd round pick too.
Was it? I thought it was a 4th. But I mean, is Kirk Cousins is he like, I don't know, is he a dynasty quarterback? A franchise quarterback? I mean,
he's probably as good, if not better, than Derek Carr.
Oh, stop it. All right.
We could save that conversation for another time.
We're moving on.
I would take Derek Carr.
I would take Derek Carr as well. So I'm ending it on that. No. So
look at fantasy finishes. I bet you Cousins has higher finishes than Carr.
I mean, he might. Like I said, we're gonna have to hit that on a different day. The guys that are going around Willis's ADP, like I gave you the quarterbacks that are going later than him. Other players that are going right around him who you'd be picking over Willis in a draft is like Adam Thielen, Tyler Lockett, Cordero Patterson, Tyler Algier. Like, these guys are guys that
ADP. That's who he's going around.
Yes.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah, give me Willis all day, every day.
When do you think, Ryan? When do you think realistically he starts?
That's really tough, man. The Titans have to eat a pretty significant amount of dead money next year if they cut Tannehill. It's like $18 million or something like that. Like, that's significant, but it's not so significant that it's unheard of. especially if they can trade him. Maybe if a team's looking for like a bridge quarterback or something, Tannehill fits that perfectly. And if they can get Willis in this year at all, run some packages, see what he's got. If the Titans are out of playoff contention,
that's what I was going to say. The only way he sees the field this year is if the Titans aren't in playoff contention, which in that division seems extremely unlikely. So I think the earliest we see Willis is 2023 season. And even then, like you said, with Tannehill's contract, it's probably not likely,
right,
until the end of the season.
You gotta, like, if it doesn't work out, you picked a guy in the last pick. I mean, ADP wise, the last pick of the 11th round. Like I said, you're losing out on guys like Cordero Patterson or Adam Thielen, who might not even be in the league in 2 years. You know, this guy's probably going to be in the league, and if he hits, it's just the ceiling that it's impossible for me to get over. A couple trades that went through on DLF for Willis was I have Kenny Pickett for Malik Willis and Cole Kmet, and don't even get me started on Cole Kmet because that is a smash accept for me.
That one's pretty shocking.
Yes. Oh my gosh. If I could get Malik Willis and Cole Kmet for Kenny Pickett.
I'm curious.
I almost did a
ADP is there because like what's Pickett going end of first and Willis is probably going beginning of the second, and you're giving up Kmet to move up a few spots to get Pickett. That's just weird to me.
That's and does Pickett have Willis's ceiling? I don't know. I wouldn't say so unless Pickett is something that I guess I haven't seen yet. But another one was Willis and Noah Fant for a 23 first. That one's a little bit tougher, and I get it.
Yeah, I take the first there easily.
If it's a projected late 23 first, give me Willis and Fant. I can't get over the upside, guys. I don't know. I think Willis could be an absolute smash in Dynasty. And if he hits, you're looking at like I hate to compare Willis to Josh Allen, but he has that kind of ceiling, in my opinion.
I almost you could look at him as like a Jalen Hurts type prospect.
I love Jalen Hurts, but I want to compare him to Josh Allen because Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the league.
Josh Allen was a top 10 pick, though.
Willis could have been
6'5".
Yeah,
Josh Allen's 6'5".
I think you're looking more at a Jalen Hurts type prospect for ceiling.
Fine, guys. I'll take the Dynasty QB 8 right now.
That's what I mean. He's going to be a top 10 Dynasty quarterback if that happens. So,
yeah, I have Jalen Hurts ranked at QB 10 for Dynasty as a consensus. All three of us have them at 9. So if you give me a guy,
I'm the highest. So if you can get it to there, then yeah, what more can you ask for that late of a pick?
All right, it is time for the wheel of teams.
Yeah.
So Rob's gonna share his screen. We're gonna pick, or it's gonna land on a team, and then we'll discuss any fantasy players that we come up with and the impacts for that team. And then we're also going to pick the schedule and see if we can give you guys an over-under number to win some money. And while Rob gets that ready, I was almost going to do a Who Am I, Ryan, for Cole Kmet, because I think you would not have guessed his stats from last year, but maybe I'll do that next time.
I wouldn't.
Once you said 0 touchdowns, it'd be a dead giveaway.
Yeah, absolutely. If you would have said 0 touchdowns as a tight end, I would have said Cole Kmet right away.
I'm ready to go whenever you guys are.
Fire it up.
All right. Let's see who we get.
Big money, big money, big money, big money, big money.
No way. All right.
Oh, all right. The Pittsburgh Steelers. We got an AFC team on the board finally.
All right, Ryan. What are your thoughts, Pittsburgh Steelers wise? I mean, we kind of just talked about Kenny Pickett, but if you're thinking of fantasy, specifically Dynasty, again, we're talking tight end premium, 2 quarterback league. Who on Pittsburgh excites you?
Pat Freiermuth excites me. Chase Claypool excites me. Najee Harris.
Everybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through the list. Like, I have a little crush on Calvin Austin. Pretty much, I like a lot of their players. They're young. Deontay Johnson, obviously, I don't expect him to even be on the Steelers next year. He struggles with drops, but the dude is a target hog. So
seems like they're hesitant to sign him.
Yeah,
It sounds like they want to give him the big money, so I think he could be finding a new home.
Yeah, even like George Pickens has like just a massive ceiling. Like that team, their quarterback is the question mark because they have so much talent. Offensive line obviously isn't good either, but if Kenny Pickett can be an average quarterback, they could be good. And I'm also not counting out Mitch Trubisky. I think Trubisky got the short end of the stick in Chicago. Obviously never had to play in Buffalo any meaningful snaps because they have Josh Allen. But I think Trubisky he's a decent quarterback. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback, but I think he can win some games.
Yeah, I think the contract, like I talked about earlier, kind of pointed to the fact that the league doesn't think he's a franchise quarterback.
Right.
So that's why they drafted Pickett.
I don't think anyone thinks he's a franchise quarterback, but I think the way people view him changed when he left Chicago because they saw how big of a dumpster fire it is. Like for him to
he had him in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, for him to make the playoffs with that team was actually pretty
quite impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. Looking back now.
Rob, any fantasy people that stick out to you, or we just want to pick the team or pick the games?
I think the big buy for me, and I know Ryan agrees with this one, is Chase Claypool. Just because I think it's the ceiling there. I'm shooting for the stars because if all of it comes together, and there's reports now coming out of camp that they're running him out of the slot as a big slot wide receiver. And can you just imagine, like, think about that mismatches the 6'4" Claypool is going to have running out of the slot for either a Mitchell Trubisky who's new in the offense or a rookie quarterback, Kenny Pickett. He's going to want to probably target, those mismatches like that. And
as long as they're running Calvin Austin on the outside, I'm happy with that.
Hey, Calvin Austin could have a role next year if Deontay Johnson signs elsewhere. So
yeah,
to me, the buy is Claypool. And I mean, like I said earlier, if you have Juju, pivot to Claypool, and you might be able to get something on top of it. And the ceiling there is so high.
Yeah. To me, if I have Trubisky or Pickett, I'm putting that are realistically only going to read one side of the field. I'm putting Johnson and Claypool on one side, like you said, Claypool in the slot, and then you're throwing it to one of them in the first 2 or 3 seconds. Then you're taking care of the football. All right, let's pick the games. Let's see what we can do. As far as I got their over/under here, I won't let you guys know what that is. We'll do the same as last time, where we'll alternate picks. So Ryan, I'll start with you. We got Week 1 at Cincinnati.
Give me Cincinnati.
Loss. Week 2 home, Rob, against New England.
Steelers will win their home opener.
I've got Week 3 Thursday night, which is going to be ugly football at Cleveland. I'm going to assume that Watson's suspended, or at least for 3 games. Excuse me. So I'm going to pick the Steelers to win that game. Ryan, Week 4 home against the Jets.
Yeah. Give me the Jets. Jets. It felt so gross.
The Jets go in and win.
Why are you doing the Jets chant? Like,
I don't know. It felt so gross coming out too. I'm sorry, Jets fans, but
2-2 start. Week 5 at Buffalo.
Oh, Bills all day. Go Bills.
Even though they beat them last year.
They got to avenge that loss.
2-3 start, and then Week 6 is home against Tampa. I'm going to pick Tampa to go in there and win. So now we're 2-4.
Is this a Kenny Pickett pivot right here? 2-4?
Yeah, it might be.
Because I was
Well,
looking
we'll see.
earlier, we were 2-1, and I'm like, oh, maybe Trubisky's going to hold this job a little longer, and then that stretch there, that might be the end of Trubisky.
And that's when you sell Trubisky.
After they start 2-1,
Yeah.
sell Mitch Trubisky.
At Miami, Ryan, week 7. Sunday night football.
Sunday night football at Miami. Kenny Pickett's projected first start. Kenny Pickett goes in there, hometown boy. He's not at home, though.
Well, hold on, though. Would they put it? You said Sunday night football?
Mm-hmm.
They probably wouldn't put him prime time for his first start.
That would be so awesome, though. Dude, see if he's made for that moment.
Think about the pressure on that guy, though. Your first start on national television, there's no way they'd do that. So I think you got to wait and assume this is still Trubisky.
It honestly didn't matter. I like the Dolphins a lot this year.
I figured that was going to be a loss regardless, but
2-5. We're going week 8, Philadelphia Eagles.
is this back to me?
Yep, Rob.
Yeah, I think Pickett's in there by now if he wasn't already, like we mentioned. I'm very high on the Eagles this year. Give me the Eagles.
Wow, we're just dumping on the Steelers.
I'm not looking good for the Steelers right now.
2-6. They have a bye week, and they're at home against the Saints, which I think the Saints will be pretty good this year. But I'm going to give them the Steelers a win just because of Mike Tomlin and their defense. So I think they're going to win that game.
Find a way to win.
Don't like it.
Home, Ryan, Cincinnati, week 11. Again, Sunday night football.
Oh, man, Steelers got it rough this year, man. So
Like
the one thing I will say, though, those games, they play each other pretty tough. And
I think we have to remember the Steelers have probably top 5 defense.
yeah, I was going to say, but the Bengals also have a good offensive line now projected. But I was going to pick the Steelers, actually. I think they might split a game with the Bengals. I don't think the Bengals are as good as they looked last year and finished, obviously.
So we're 4-6.
Kenny Pickett's coming on here.
We're going to get a lot of the Steelers this year. So we got Monday night football at Indianapolis. The Fighting Matt Ryans. Over to you, Rob.
Yeah, I'll take the Colts. No brainer.
All right, so we're 4-7.
We're not winning 3 games in a row with Kenny Pickett, rookie quarterback. I'm sorry, guys.
The narrative was so good, though.
4-7, and we're going to Atlanta, but it's week 13, so I think there's a good chance that Ritter is in. And I think, again, Mike Tomlin and their defense is better than Atlanta's roster, so I'm going to give them a win.
Ritter's going to be running for his life.
I don't think it matters who's playing that game. Tomlin's going to be dialing it up. They got no
5-7, Ryan, Baltimore at home.
Oh, man. I like Baltimore this year.
Baltimore game, right?
Yeah.
Late in the year.
Yeah, I want to do a 50-50 split home and away, but man, Baltimore. Lamar's my QB4 in Dynasty. Give me the Ravens.
Ravens are a good bounce back candidate this year too.
Yeah, going into Pittsburgh and taking the win.
All right, so we are 5-8, going to Carolina. Rob.
Yeah, I think the Steelers defense is good enough to steal a win there. Give me the Steelers.
Pun intended.
Yep.
6-8, and we're playing at home on Christmas Eve, Saturday night. We're gonna get a lot of the Steelers.
Wow.
Yeah, why are they on so much? I mean, I guess
the
Steelers.
Raiders. 6-8. Tomlin's never finished below 500. At home, a night game. I think the Raiders are the better team, but I think the Steelers are going to win the game somehow. That's just what the Steelers do.
Got to go with your gut, man.
When you said Tomlin's never finished below 500, it sounds like he might be due.
7-8.
First time for everything.
You guys get to decide right here. 7-8. we're going to Baltimore Sunday afternoon game. Ryan.
And just like the Ravens went in and gave a spanking to the poor Steelers in, oh man, it's not Heinz Field anymore, is it?
No, they changed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what they changed it to.
I was on a roll there.
Whatever it was. Yeah.
Well, they go into Pittsburgh. The Ravens beat them, and now Pittsburgh is going to return the favor. Pittsburgh goes into Baltimore and beats Baltimore at home.
Kenny Pickett is making
a
it.
Doing here. Kenny Pickett's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-2 run for Kenny Pickett. Come on, guys. This is ridiculous.
It's 8-8 at home against Cleveland to decide if they go over 500.
I'm not making Kenny Pickett go 7-2 to end the season. There's just no chance. Loss.
Oh,
8-9.
Rob,
they missed the playoffs.
You got to realize they're not winning because Kenny Pickett's doing well. No. They're winning because they have the best maybe top 3 defenses in the NFL, and they're
going to lose this game because of Kenny Pickett. How about that?
Oh, and best and top 3 coaches in the NFL.
That's true too.
Over under. All right, so we had them 8-9. Over under. What do you think it is?
7.5.
I'm gonna go
like a half every time. Got to stick with it.
I'm gonna go 6.5.
8.5.
Wow.
Yeah, there's the respect for Mike Tomlin right there.
Steelers don't finish under 500.
Yeah, that's totally on coaching there and the perception of the defense.
Well, you heard it here. What are we saying?
I don't feel great. I don't feel great either way on this one. I wouldn't touch it.
But I mean, you think of the teams that we had them beat, like the Ravens, the Raiders.
I felt like we had them beat some pretty good teams to get to 8.
Yeah.
So if I had to lean one direction or the other, I would lean towards the under. It's one that I don't feel great touching either way, though.
You heard it from Rob. Buy the under with all of your money because he is fully in on that.
I had them beating the Saints, the Raiders, and I think one other team that was.
I think I only gave them one win like the whole season. I gave most of the L's there. So.
Oh, you know what? I had them beat the Bengals too once.
Yeah, you guys were quite high, I think, compared to what you thought you might be on the Steelers.
Go Trubisky.
So maybe you want to buy all the Steelers players too.
All right, Ryan, passing it over to you. Listener question of the week.
Listener question of the week in honor of Shark Week and bringing awareness to the cause of keeping the sharks alive and to stop polluting the oceans and stop finning the sharks for soup. My wife, a big fan of Shark Week and sharks in general, would love to know, what is your favorite shark?
All right.
You want me to start it out?
Yeah, Rob, you started off. I'll go next and then give Tony a minute to think because clearly he is dumbfounded by that question.
So, full disclosure, I knew this question ahead of time, so I had some time to look up some sharks, find the one that I liked, because I'm not somebody who is very informed on sharks, I would say. Like, I know the great white, and that's about it. So, so after doing some research, I was drawn towards and I had to ask Ryan the pronunciation to make sure I was correct, but we're going with the Mako Shark. Is that correct?
As far as I know, it is called the Mako Shark.
Rebecca will let us know if we're correct on that. So why did I choose the Mako Shark? Well, it's the fastest shark in the world with speeds of up to 60 miles per hour, which is, to me, is crazy. Could you imagine something swimming at you at 60 miles an hour?
That would be so terrifying. I know the Shark Week is about like making sharks not terrifying.
Yeah.
But that would be terrifying.
But that's like a cheetah speed, but under the water. It's insane. So another thing I liked I almost said stat. I'm like thinking fantasy football here. Another thing about the Mako Shark that I liked was they were classified as having a streamlined body that's shaped like a torpedo. So this helps to minimize drag while it swims.
That's why they're so fast, huh?
Yeah, and so this allows them to be powerful swimmers that are capable of jumping out of the water up to 20 to 30 feet.
What?
You sound like
I watched videos of this. It's insane how high these sharks can jump. Are sharks fish?
Rob, I don't know. I just know that they're
I would've
things
expected
that
you to know
swim
the
in the
answer.
water, and I pretty much classify anything that swims with a fin as a fish.
Okay, but anyway, as I was saying, they can hit up to 30 feet in the air jumping out of the water. And for some size perspective here, they get up to 13 feet long. So could you imagine being on a boat and seeing this shark that's 13 feet long? And I saw that they were up to like 1,100 pounds, the biggest ones.
Gosh.
Yeah, so they're jumping that high
You
out of
sound
the
like-
water. Insane.
You-
It's craziness.
you sound like Mel Kiper Jr. right now describing a draft prospect. Like you're talking about 40 times. You're talking about vertical jump.
Bro,
You're talking about the physique.
all the stats out there on this Mako Shark.
I was gonna say, like, I just had my favorite shark. I wasn't like Rob's gonna make me look so bad.
Hopefully Rebecca appreciates my research I put into this.
I am frantically searching for information on my favorite shark right now. Like,
I'll go. Mine's easy. I'm going with the great white because it's one of the only ones I actually know the name of. And when I think of
wait, did we just
Uh-oh.
did we lose him?
We lost him. Right,
like-
take it over.
I was like, when I think of all right, Tony, can you keep going there?
Back.
did I freeze? I said great white shark because I want the king of the ocean, and I think he is the biggest, baddest fish in the
His
ocean.
jaws, right?
Yes. I don't have any other stats. He's just the great white is just awesome.
Their teeth are huge.
All right. Well, can you guys stall for Tony? You were supposed to take as long as Rob did. It was like 5 minutes. I was expecting to have a little bit longer here. No, that's okay though, for real.
You knew the question for the last 3 days.
Yeah, but Rob just like made me look bad. All right. So my favorite shark, and it's my wife's favorite as well. And we actually named our cat after this type of shark. And he does not match it at all because he's just lazy and doesn't do anything, and his tail is not awesome. But the Thresher Shark is our favorite shark. And the one thing that I do know about Thresher Sharks is that they can kill their prey with their tail. And
Wow.
I don't know if they can like just swing it around and hit things that fast with like a sonic boom or what it is, but these things have developed the attack of tail whip, apparently, for those Pokemon fans out there.
I had one more stat, by the way, on the Mako Shark that I thought was pretty cool. I forgot to throw out there.
Let's get it.
So they attack their prey from underneath. They'll swim underneath before they attack. And I was reading that it says they lurch forward like from underneath to get their fish or whatever they're eating. And those speeds that they attack at are about 46 miles per hour on average.
Wow.
And the way that they finish off their prey is just by just taking chunks of the flesh off until they're, not
That's-
alive anymore, which is just, that's wild.
There's
That's
a
just
company.
nasty.
There's a company down here called Mako Medical, and the logo is a shark. And I always drive by it. I'm like, why would you choose a shark for a medical company? But maybe they're just trying to say that they're very fast medical company.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah. The one thing that I found in all of this time searching about Thresher Sharks is that they have reached a length of more than 20 feet, which is a very long shark, but they only get up to about 216 pounds.
Oh,
So they're like tall and skinny.
not a lot to them.
Not a lot to them, but man, they can wave that or whip that tail around.
Except that tail, right?
That's right.
Tail.
If we were drafting prospects here, I think I'm taking the Mako Shark.
Bro, that is the transition of a lifetime, because the next thing that we're doing is we're going to make up an offense with sharks.
Oh,
What are we
interesting.
doing? I don't know anything.
Okay, Anthony, you gotta help us decide. Then I'll throw out some names. My wife's sitting in the room next to me. I might need her to throw out a couple shark names, but
So the Mako Shark right away it's got to be your wide receiver, right?
absolutely.
Maybe you use him in the Debo Samuel role, right? The running back wide receiver hybrid, but we
Yeah.
gotta get the ball in this Mako Shark's hands no matter what. That speed, get him the ball and let him go.
He is
The hammer,
he or she, your absolute star on offense, the Mako.
the hammerhead has to be like the fullback or tight end.
Yeah, tight end, maybe the lead blocker, the fullback, if we're gonna
Yeah.
use one. Yep.
So something that most people might not know about hammerheads is that they have the best lateral agility juke move of all
Sneaky
sharks.
choice for a running back then.
It is a sneaky choice.
All
He's a
right.
battering ram. He's got the hammerhead, battering ram. It's sneaky,
He's
jukey.
Pretty good size. Yeah, I'm good with
He's-
the running back for the hammerhead.
Yeah.
He's Derrick Henry.
He's Derrick Henry. All right.
All right.
We're going to go.
So hammerhead running back,
Yep.
wide receivers the Mako. So we need a quarterback. I mean,
Let's-
obviously we got to go whale shark for like our tackle or our center, maybe a guard, right? One of
Yeah,
our
I was
linemen.
going to go whale shark for like the interior offensive lineman, and I have
Yeah.
a shark for the tackles. That's a little bit different. But I was going to go 11 personnel if you guys are okay with that. So one tight end, one running back, and then the 3 wide receivers we're just hoping are all Makos.
I'm good. Yeah, let's go 3 wide receiver Makos. That's how can
I mean,
you
we'll-
beat that?
Yeah, you win. You automatically win. And we got the hammerhead coming in off the backfield. So
So what's the quarterback?
We just really need a quarterback. Is that the Great White? Just because he's like the
the
king?
quarterback Tony, are you good with your pick as the great white being the quarterback?
It sounds like he'd be a leader. a great
Absolutely.
leader. Yeah.
I'm just quickly looking up the tiger shark here.
Yeah, tiger sharks aren't.
We still need a center too.
Let's throw a little tiger shark in the middle of our offensive line. That should go good. See what happens. Now,
I'm running out of types of sharks I know.
No,
I was
so-
gonna say, this says the tiger shark staying in about 6.5 to 8.5 feet. I mean, I want my quarterback to be about 8 feet.
So you want the quarterback to be the tiger? Is that what you're saying?
I don't even know what we're talking about.
All right, you're overruled. The quarterback is the great white.
The Great White. He's the leader of the
Yeah.
ocean. He's the leader of our shark football team.
We're going to go with the interior offensive line is the whale shark. So guards and center. We're going to have a massive interior. And
Yeah, 3 whale sharks for the interior. I like it.
yes. And the tackles, man, I'm going bull sharks because they just feed. Those things are mean. I want my tackles to be mauling out there, although that's usually a guard thing, but I want them out there fast and I want them bruising people. Now,
So when we do give it to the hammerhead shark, we got
That's
the
right.
bull sharks on the outside to open up the creases. I like it.
that's
We got to
right.
get one goblin shark out there just because it sounds.
Tight end, baby. It's like just a goofball out there running routes, doesn't know what he's doing. Goblin shark, there it is.
I know absolutely nothing about a goblin shark, but
I mean,
is that the one with the
me
weird
either.
like face
Yes.
on it? Like, okay.
Yeah, it's just mean and ugly. Well, maybe it's nice and ugly. I don't know.
I
But
didn't
it's
want to say
definitely
ugly, but there you go. Ugly. Ryan threw it out there. The ugly
I threw
shark.
Sorry, goblin. The only other ones I know are like the coral reef shark and
They sound
the
friendly.
cat shark and
Is there like a lemon shark or something?
the lemon shark.
Didn't you say there was like a cat shark, right?
I said cat shark, and then
What's
there's
the
like
the real little one.
the
Is it
real
cat
little one
shark?
is the dwarf
The dwarf.
dwarf shark.
Well, we don't
I
want
think-
them on our football team, but I was just
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind having them at like wide receiver. You get those little slot receiver for a dwarf shark.
get our Rondell Moore type
Yeah.
player.
Yeah, or Kelvin Austin.
There, that name again. You better go buy him somewhere.
I
Maybe
have
have
him.
him, but,
I have them in every league that I'm in the dynasty.
Draft
gotta
them
draw-
everywhere.
You got to join a few more leagues so you could buy more Calvin Austin shares.
I'm doing a couple startups this year.
I need to do a few more startups. I'm gonna add that to the to-do list here.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. We have our shout out to Shark Week, and we hope we didn't offend any shark lovers out there. I hope we did a good job. I'm sure maybe people who know more about sharks are like, "You're an idiot. This would clearly be a better quarterback."
Hey, how many podcasts out there have made a football team out of sharks before?
I don't know, but I also just realized that we never used the Thresher Shark, and I feel like really sad. So I'm gonna throw him in at fullback when he comes in.
I'll say we could have him as our other wide receiver too.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, if he's 20 feet long, I mean,
we could cycle out a few wide receivers. He can be our red zone weapon.
All right, I appreciate that, guys. Thank you for helping me get him in there or her in there.
Maybe we'll post these results on our Twitter page and see what people say.
Good transition again. That's going to do it for this episode. You can find us on Twitter at Ultraflex FFP. We are now 8 days away from the Hall of Fame game, which is August 4th. The Jaguars Raiders is coming up next week. We are pretty much to preseason football, which is going to be exciting. Ryan, you gave it to Rob last time.
I got one thing to throw in. If you enjoyed our video, hit the subscribe button on YouTube.
Thank you. That's how I was going to end it. So if you enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. You can follow me at Ultraflex Ryan on Twitter. Rob is Ultraflex Rob, and Anthony is at Ultraflex Sutton. Again, that's our Ultraflex team here is Ultraflex FFP on Twitter, and like and follow us on YouTube. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Until next time. Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks
got
for
it
listening.
again.